I'm going to call the meeting to order. I'd like a motion to approve the agenda. Sherry and Krista Lee, all in favor? That's carried. Thank you. Any conflicts of pecuniary interest in the general nature thereof? None declared. The minutes of our December 11th, 2023 meeting. I need someone to move that we receive those minutes. Doug and Wendy. Any business arising from those minutes you want to discuss at this point? None. All in favor? Thank you. We have no delegations or deputations this evening. No bylaws. Staff reports. Our first item under staff reports is for acting CAO Jason Sands, and it's regarding the Goodyear Expansion Community Improvement Plan. And the recommended motion is that council approve the application for a tax increment equivalent grant as submitted by Goodyear in accordance with bylaw 2023-1219. And further, the council authorize the Reeve and clerk to execute an industrial tax increment equivalent grant agreement with Goodyear in accordance with that same bylaw. Can I get a mover and seconder for that? Doug and Sherry. And Jason, do you want to elaborate on this?
Thank you, Reeve Wise. Yes, and through you, this is a very exciting time for us, and in my opinion, at staff's level, in the fact that we have an application to navigate our newly adopted community improvement plan for the expansion of industrial operation within our community. The details of the proposal are contained within, and this proposal also received Committee of Adjustment approval in late 2023 to facilitate the expansion. This essentially, should council approve this application or the execution of an agreement this evening, the applicant or the proponent, Goodyear Canada Inc., would be subject or privy to the inclusion of a tax increment equivalent grant that sees approximately $530,000, which is an estimate of future tax dollars to be saved through the first 4 years of their operation. Following that build out and full assessment, at the conclusion of year 4, the municipality would receive full tax payment based on the assessed value. That being said, I just want to clarify, this does not pertain to the existing operation. Any tax rate or tax dollars collected by the municipality to date would remain still in effect. This is entirely related to the new proposed expansion. Just further, I also want to confirm that the town of Greater Napanee had received a similar application for the component of this facility in their jurisdiction and received, or their council had approved in late 2023. And subsequently, County Council, County of Lennox and Addington, is going to be tasked with this consideration at the January 17th meeting to potentially waive the county portion of the taxes. If there's any questions, I'm happy to answer. Thank you.
Any questions or comments? All in favor then? It's carried. Thank you. Okay, next item is the December 2023 accounts payable. The motion is that council receive the accounts payable for the month of December 2023. Can I get a mover and seconder on that, please? Sherry and Wendy. Any discussion? Anything to talk about there, Anita? Nothing special? No? All in favor? That's carried. Thank you. The next one is the interim tax bylaw. It's our treasurer again. The recommended motion is the council receive the 2024 interim property tax billing. Further, that bylaw 2024 yet to be numbered, being a bylaw to provide for an interim tax levy be enacted and passed, and that the Reeve and clerk be authorized to sign the seal. So do you want to just elaborate on what this is about, Anita? I guess it's something we do every year.
Yes, thank you, Reeve Wise. It's so that we can build the interim tax levy. We're going to be running tax bills before the end of the month and have them out for the February and April installments of 50% of the previous year's taxes.
So any questions for Anita on this? This is something we have to do every year. I just can't remember. Do you base it on the 2023 billing and go 50%, or do you sort of project an increase, or how do you calculate the initial tax billing?
The system that we have, the accounting software system, takes the 2024 assessment, is my understanding, and takes 50% of the previous year's rates, and based on that, and calculates them.
Okay, thank you. All in favor of the motion to receive? Yes. Oh, sorry. Did I not get a mover and seconder for that one? Wenda and Wendy, all in favor? Thank you. Furthermore, Anita, you're still with us. 2023 surplus deficit to capital reserve and reserve funds. The recommended motion is that council receive the report, and further that council authorize that the annual surplus or deficit be allocated to or from the respective reserve and reserve funds. And I'm not going to read every single one of them. It's all our major accounts. And further that council direct staff to prepare a policy for consideration at a future council meeting respecting the allocation of surplus deficit to applicable departmental services. I get a mover for that, Sherry and Rob. So, Anita.
Thank you. Reeve Wise. This is a little different than what we normally pass. We're looking to actually create a policy so that we don't have to come back every year as well. With the consultation with the acting CAO and the new clerk, we'll come back with a new policy pertaining to the surplus deficit for the specific funds that we're having here, and then we'll be able to do it annually.
You any questions or comments? None? All in favor? That's carried. Thanks, Anita. Okay, next one is for our clerk. And this is Quinte Conservation Board of Directors vacancy. The recommended motion that council receive the report entitled Quinte Conservation Board of Directors vacancy, and further that council appoint Councillor Woodcock to represent the Township of Stone Mills on the Quinte Conservation Board of Directors. Can I get a mover and seconder for that? Doug and Sherry. Any discussion? All in favor? That's carried. Thank you. Congratulations, Crystal Lee. It's now official. You're going to Belleville. Our next one is municipal website redevelopment. And the recommended motion is that this report on the website redevelopment be received, and further, the council authorize staff to proceed with single sourcing website redevelopment based on the quote received from GHD Digital, the amount of $35,000, and that the project be funded from the Municipal Modernization Fund. Can I get a mover and seconder for this one? Crystal Lee and Wenda. Randy, is this your bailiwick? You're up.
I don't have anything further to add to the report, so just here for questions if there's anything. Thank you.
Any questions on this one? Yes, go ahead, Wendy.
So who's going to take on this responsibility? Is it going to be you?
So I'll oversee the project management, and it'll be a collaboration of staff for the content writing. Because the website was done about almost 4 years ago, a lot of the content is written. So we just need to make sure that it's up to date, current, and then build on that with new content.
Go ahead, Crystal Lee.
Yeah, I think this is exciting. I know it was done not that long ago, but it is very hard to navigate. And I got the opportunity to work with some people who, like, it's an entire specialty now, what is called user experience. And when something is designed well, you actually don't notice that it's designed. It works, it feels intuitive, but there's this whole back end to design the layout of that. And so we do need it to be smoother. Partly, one of the big issues of our time is that people don't have trust in all levels of government, and sort of that's whenever there's points of friction, that's looking for information that they can't find, it can create a sense of mistrust, or people feel like you're hiding something from them, but they just can't navigate to find it. So I think it will be really good in that sense, and I love that there's the opportunity for a shared calendar, that we can have a central calendar across our communities. And I don't know if this is the option that we're taking, but also for people to pay bills online, and that could even include hall rental, like this sort of I think that taking it from the modernization fund also makes a lot of sense to streamline some of these processes, and just, I think it's smart. And I'm happy that you're taking this on. You've been here maybe a month and that you're ready to take on this big project at the start of the year. And I think that that is great.
Thank you, Councillor Woodcock. Doug?
No, we have not gone out and got other quotes at this point. GHD is kind of the municipal leader in website development, having developed over 400. And they're a partner with AMO, has a preferred website developer in Ontario. So we felt that it was appropriate to single source to them.
Jason?
Thanks, Reeve Wise. Just quickly on that as well, Deputy Reeve. GHD is a member of group procurement, which, as you know, we've recently adopted and become a member of. So yeah, Canoe. So essentially, through that process, it's been vetted through the municipal corporation all through Ontario, and that gives us the ability to satisfy that test from having to do a single RFP process.
All right, I guess we got a mover and seconder, Brandy. Yes, all in favor? That's carried. Thank you. Okay, our next item is municipal. No, we just did that one. Chief Building Official Detler, Community Garden Land Inventory. A recommended motion is to receive this report and further that council support the Tamworth Aaronsville grassroots growers in their pursuit of establishing a community garden for all ratepayers of the municipality to be located at the Centerville Fairgrounds, and that no further action be taken. I get a mover and seconder for that, please. Sherry and Wenda. Go ahead, Jake.
Yes, through you, Reeve Wise. One thing I hadn't wrote in the report was that I've reached out to several, the president and other members of the Centerville Agricultural Board, and they were quite open to the idea of potentially having a garden in their large, and I would say underutilized property. And yeah, I just think that if the grassroots growers are open to a Centerville location, that this might be a really, really good, partnership. Like I said, it's kind of unique in the sense that agriculture is kind of the center of their name. And I mean, like I said, the Centerville Fair, there's for garden vegetables judged there every September. I just think it might be a great fit if the growers are open to it. Happy to take any questions.
Any questions for Jake? Yes, Wenda.
This is a very good report, Jake. You gave us lots of options and evidence that you really did some good research. My only one observation about this particular piece of property is that it's not in a larger hamlet. So everybody who's choosing from the surrounding areas to come to it is going to have to drive, whereas Tamworth, Newburgh, Centerville, Yarker, or not Centerville, Yarker, Enterprise, you've got a larger number of people that could literally walk to the garden and work on it. So from accessibility, I would say that's one weakness, that it's not as accessible as all of the others. But I agree with you that even with that, it's definitely the best fit. And I applaud you for your hard work.
Yes, Wendy.
In response to that, I agree. There could be problems getting people there, but in my experience, usually when a group comes together, people get to know each other, and before long, they're carpooling and picking up other people. So hopefully that it ends up being a win-win where they actually make friends and there's more communication, and they're traveling together in one vehicle. So that's one of the things we can hope for, maybe. Thanks.
Thanks, Wendy. Anyone else? Yes, Sherry, then Rob.
I was just curious, since this was posted on Friday, if you've heard from any of the group, if they think it's a good idea or not.
Yes, through you, Reeve Wise. I actually was absent from work today. I had some sick children at home, so I haven't checked my phone messages. I haven't received any emails regarding it, so I can't answer whether any phone calls rolled in over the weekend.
Rob?
Yeah, Jake, to speak to Wenda's point, I agree 100%. When I was going through my agenda, I was scrolling through and the visuals with the photos was really effective. It was great and simplified. You didn't get into more detail than necessary, and I was really pleased with this. It made it very easy to analyze. And actually, it was a bit of an introduction to some of these spaces in our township I wasn't really thinking about until now. So well done. In regards to the fact that it's in Centerville, one of the first things I'm thinking to myself is, the other hamlets sometimes get things that Centerville doesn't. This might be a nice thing for them to have. And also the fact that, like you say, if it was in Newburgh, for example, then those driving from outside of the outer edges of the township would have to make up the distance, and only Newburgh would have the short drive, et cetera, et cetera. This way, it's probably equals out in the end. So I'm quite pleased with your report. In fact, I'm very pleased. I enjoyed it, actually. So I'm looking at it going, oh, that's a great idea. And I'm really excited where this is going to go. And it brings some attention to that area. And I can see some of these people who are going to join that community gardening becoming part of the Centerville Agricultural Society over time, which is wonderful for that organization. So very well done and very well thought out.
Crystal Lee?
Yeah, I also love the report. When I was going through how I felt, it was like, can't we have a garden at every one of these parks? And partly what I was thinking, and I kind of along the same lines of like where there's built up population, I do think we need to see with the group. I love that you've already checked the Agricultural Society. I think it is a beautiful marriage between Agricultural Society and the farm. I think that's great. I do like the idea, though, of it being walkable. And the idea that Tamworth and Aaronsville, if that's who's going to take it on, they may feel like a sense of ownership of having it close. I do like Site 1 in that I see a lot of like intergenerational opportunities there. So you have young kids doing soccer. It's good for education, the walkability of the other residents that are right there. And ultimately, I would like to see there to be a garden in Newburgh, one in Yarker, because there is the reality of putting things close to where people are and walkability. And just the sense of community that could make in each of our places without feeling like we're in competition. But I would say, yeah, just check with grassroots growers, and I'm excited for whatever garden we can get, and then I want more of them. So.
Thanks, Crystal Lee. Anyone else? Yeah, Rob?
One other thing I forgot to mention, Jake. So the initial property that was being eyeballed in Tamworth, I see there that we have trees planted on that space. And obviously they were planted fairly recently. They're not of any sort of significance yet. Now, we all know that the reason that property is maybe not an ideal location is because it may be developed in the near future. Is any thought been given to what we're going to do with those trees if we go to develop that? Does it make sense to? I know they're just saplings that you just mow them down and plant fresh ones somewhere else, but would it make sense to approach maybe the public school or something and cut them out, transplant them somewhere else, or make some sort of a project out of it, a community project, before it gets developed? Because we know that's likely inevitable at some point. I'm just thinking before they are of some significance.
Yes, through your revise, I haven't put a lot of thought into those trees at this point because there's no, like developmental project incoming. It's just a thought that it could be there someday. And I think that obviously, we'll cross that bridge when we get there in the next few years, whenever that happens. But yeah, certainly since then we've planted thousands and thousands and thousands of trees. That was planted before our plantation at the Moscow landfill and before our plantation last summer at the Doyle Road farm. And certainly I don't know if you guys are tree enthusiasts. I sort of am, but that Moscow landfill site, I just can't believe how quick. I mean, it's literally been 2 years and they're just, there's trees out there like that now, and they were just seedlings. So they seem to be really working better at that. That site those plants are quite old and they haven't really done that well, to be honest. So
Just further to Crystal Lee's enthusiasm for community gardens, that I'd love to see community gardens in every community that could benefit from them. That requires community groups like the grassroots growers. This isn't our initiative, so maybe if this one is successful, then it'll inspire some other little community groups to form. Yes, Jake?
Yeah, through you, Revise, just a thought that crossed my mind during this this talk. You know, a lot of these larger settlements like Tamworth and Newburgh will probably over the next few years have subdivision applications that parkland that would need to be delivered to the municipality or some sort of levy. One of the things we could look forward if we were given a chunk of parkland in the future instead of, I mean, we're always thinking about parkland and the thought that we would develop it with some playground structures, but maybe, you know, we could think a little bit broader in the sense that, a parkland that was delivered into the municipality as part of a subdivision application in a hamlet maybe is earmarked for a community garden instead. Anyways, just a thought.
Yeah, I like that. Okay, all in favor? That's carried. Thanks, Jake. So that's the end of the items on the main agenda, other than new business and statements from members. Anyone got anything to bring forward? Wendy, go ahead.
I was just wondering, sorry, Jake, if we could be looking at, the Recreation Committee could be looking at maybe setting up a meeting in the next 4 weeks or something.
Yes, through your Revise, I hadn't scheduled one, but if council wishes, we can definitely get one going. I mean, it is January, and I think we were talking about earmarking some budgets for like the Wall of Fame in this budget, so it would make sense that we would start to have preliminary talks on what that looks like.
And could, since the first focus is going to be on the Wall of Fame, could maybe we have our first meeting at the arena through the day or night? It doesn't, whatever the other two counselors can make. It was Robin, Chair.
Through your Revise, yeah, we could definitely have it at the arena. Absolutely.
If I may revise, I think we can, between our staff, Clerk Teeple and CBO Detler can be in coordination with the members in the committee. We'll get this scheduled in the coming month and make sure there's availability. And I agree on site's the best spot.
Okay, that's set up. So do you have any terms of reference drawn up for that committee yet, Brandy?
Yeah, they came forward at the November 20 or December 11th council meeting.
I'd forgotten, sorry.
No,
Okay,
that's okay. Thank you.
everything's under control. Anyone else? Doug?
I've had a concern raised for me, Jeff, about the condition of the railway crossings north of here, the one on this road and the one over by Reedville Station. And I'm just wondering, I know that it's not our bell to whack, it's CPR, but can we start rolling the ball to bring a little pressure on them, or is it even possible? Especially the one over by Reedville Station, I'm told is very rough.
Sure, thank you for the question, Deputy Davison. That's a county crossing, so we look after we're in charge of the lighting there, but the crossing itself is through the county of LMA, so they would have to make the request for any improvements to the crossing.
So can we take that to TAC?
I can take that to TAC.
Thank you kindly.
Absolutely.
Yeah, was there someone else? Yes, Wenda.
So 2 items. One was just I wanted to congratulate staff for the article that appeared in the WIG regarding biodegradable bags, I think it was. Yeah, that was a surprise. I wasn't aware that we'd actually completely gone that way, and so it was really made me feel very proud of whoever was responsible for moving that forward and for getting the recognition from the region for doing something like that. So whoever out there set that up, thank you very much. And the other thing that I wanted to ask was for Mr. Thompson is at one of our previous meetings just in December, you had mentioned you were going to reach out to a constituent regarding the waste hazardous management component of her concern. And I wondered if there would be an update to that coming fairly soon as to what that conversation was like and was she satisfied with the discourse?
Thank you, Councillor Wenda. Your first comment on the garbage bags, yes, that was, we've been working on that for a couple of months, and it was kind of a surprise that they were supposed to hold the article actually in the WIG until we actually received the bags. So this week we actually received the bags. So once we get rid of our old stock, we'll start putting out the new stock of the biodegradable. But we will put stuff on our website that we receive from Swish or the company of so the public knows, you know, lifespan and how they degrade. To your second question, yes, I spoke with the constituent at a Christmas party actually, and she was in no hurry. So she says, "Oh, whenever you have time, no hurry. Get back to me whenever." So we'll meet up. So yes.
Hey, Wendy, go ahead.
I just want to say, Reeve Wise, congratulations on your new appointment as warden. Or as many of us here, I'm sure we're very proud to have you sitting at our table as warden. Thank you.
Thanks very much. It's going to be interesting. I've already failed to honor my first commitment. I had pneumonia and couldn't go to the Eastern Ontario Wardens Caucus, which was in Napanee Thursday and Friday. It's apparently there was nothing really decided at the meeting. It was just everyone reading the reports, which are already in the agenda. So the most important one will be in the spring. These meetings happen every 2 months. The Eastern Ontario Wardens Caucus, that's 13 counties, wardens of 13 counties. That will be the strategic planning meeting. So in between, there's a few virtual meetings. So I'll look forward to that. And the main focus of the Eastern Ontario Wardens Caucus at the moment is housing. And they've got this 7 in 7 initiative, which is to build 7,000 mostly affordable homes in the next 7 years, which doesn't sound like a lot, but it's still 7,000 buildings. And we know what went into just getting 8 little units up in Tamworth. Getting funding for this is difficult because none of the funding from the province or the federal government at the moment recognizes an organization that's a regional organization. So if you were Stone Mills or even perhaps Lennox and Niagara County, they've got a category for you to be funded. There is no category for an organization of municipalities. So right now there's some lobbying going on to maybe make the funding parameters more flexible. So these are the sort of details and into the weeds kind of stuff that I guess the organization gets involved in. They're also concerned about ambulance response times in the region, since a lot of this happens across borders where we share ambulances with neighbors. Hospitals are starting to tie up ambulances with wait times because emergency rooms are backed up. Our response times in the region on average are going up, which is a complete change for years and years. I mean, we had this station built just down the road that reduced our response times in Stone Mills. And I don't know if that's changed, but on average through the Eastern Ontario region, it's taking longer to get an ambulance, largely because of these holdups at hospitals. It's a compounding thing with the whole healthcare system crisis. So these are the sorts of things that the Wardens Caucus gets involved in, as well as the cell gap and and broadband project, which we've had some information on. So I'm going to try and bring back some of this stuff to council from time to time, because in my experiences tend to happen away from us and we don't hear about it. I mean, several times over the last few weeks, I've had people congratulate me on being a warden and ask, what's a warden anyway? Right? And so I'll try to do a little sort of education on it, but thank you very much. I appreciate it. So no further statements from members. Rob, you have something?
I've got a couple things here. First of all, I thought I'd say thank you to all the participants, and there was a lot of them that participated in the Stone Mills Peanut Butter Challenge. Our end result was over 2,000 jars of peanut butter that we distributed to various food banks and food bank initiatives in our area, and not just in Stone Mills. 2,000 jars of peanut butter at a kilogram a piece. That's the weight of a 3/4 ton truck. That's substantial. And I did some quick math on that. If Kingston, the city of Kingston, were to do the same kind of initiative and match our numbers, they would have to have 40,000 jars of peanut butter. Yeah, it just gives you an idea when a small community challenges each other and has fun with something while supporting a great cause. On top of that, the town of Enterprise, or the Enterprise Initiative, raised $1,715 to go with that. A little bit of a strategy there on my part. But so $500 went to the New Legacy Center, $500 went to the Newburgh Lions Club, $500 went to the Tamworth Lions Club, and $250 went to the Morning Star Mission in Napanee. So on top of just peanut butter, they were able to buy, I do believe, one of them bought socks and underwear, which was something that was necessary and they didn't have enough of. So it's nice to know that it went even farther than we'd ever dreamt. So thanks to everybody for their support. There was a lot of really fun stuff that went with that. And I don't know what is going to be dreamt up for next year. It was quite a thing. I had almost 700 pounds of peanut butter in my garage, and it was fun moving it around, I'll tell you that. So thank you to everybody. That was pretty incredible stuff. Just to show you that small towns can do big, big things. The other thing is I have here is I'm putting forward an application to the Hydro One Community Fund. It's a up to $25,000 grant for safety initiatives that can be in for almost anything that's safety driven. One of those things is I sit on a committee called the Enterprise Community and Hall Committee. One of the challenges is that it's better if you're a recognized, registered, recognized nonprofit organization, so on and so on. Well, that's not something a group of 4 people is gonna have. And what I'm asking for is so that I can submit for this grant that will be an investment in the community. The main thing I'm hoping to get is safety barriers put in at Enterprise Ball Field so that the sloped paved area, there's no chance of a vehicle rolling into the back of the bleachers. We've talked about it for years. And then also covered dugouts like you have in Tamworth. And if I can get this grant, it would save the ratepayers the money in the future. So I'm going to take a shot at it. And I was wondering if I could get support in an initiative where we can participate under the umbrella of the township with that, because they are registered. Apparently it's happened in the past. It's not a crazy ask, but I wanted to bring it forward.
Okay, thank you. I think we have done things like that before, Rob. We just act as sort of the conduit for funds and so on and so forth. So you can talk to Brandy or Jason about that. So
thanks, John. I just didn't want to go ahead and do it. The deadline's in 2 weeks. And I thought, I don't want to just do it and then mention later.
yeah,
I thought I should bring it forward. And so I've done that. Last but not least, I have another item here that's kind of important. So our rental facilities, and it's interesting we bring this up. I think you mentioned under the website, yeah, and that's a great initiative. It's something that's been brought forward. I'd like to make a motion, and I'll describe it here. And what it is it entails the fact that our facilities, our rental facilities, a lot of them are underutilized because they're not known. And also we're getting some growth. And we're having some requests for repetitive use, long-term use, and use in ways that we've never dreamt before. So being proactive, I think what we should do is, and I've got this written down here, whereas Stone Mills Township is experiencing growth, and where there has been a recent interest in scheduled repeat community hall rentals, which have the potential to extend over longer terms, and whereas the township currently has one-size-fits-all approach to our community hall rentals with a generic hall agreement, which does result in poor communication and inefficiencies with respect to expectations. And whereas generic agreements may have been sufficient in the past, but our recent growth and influx of new Stone Mills residents, it would be beneficial to develop a more comprehensive policy and agreement applicable to the rental of township community halls and facilities. So I would now therefore staff be directed to develop an overarching facility rental policy and facility rental agreement for each community hall that takes into account the uniqueness of each one. So to put that in layman's terms, every facility has its own specific pros and cons. Some come with a coffee maker, some don't. Some comes with plates and dishes, some don't. Some have air conditioning, some don't. There's so many different variables. It's time we had a specific approach for each one. And it makes sense because, well, there's a lot less hurt feelings and people know what they get. It's just logical, really. So I'm looking for the other part too, in recognition of the staff time and resources involved to complete this task, I'm offering to volunteer my time and knowledge to assist, thus saving our taxpayers money and providing a valuable service. So I'm looking for a seconder in this motion to go forward with that.
That Wendy is supporting that. Any discussion? Yes, Wendy.
I wonder if this is something that we could even table at the recreation groups, because we will have staff and some counselors there. And we could maybe bring back a few recommendations to the board as well.
Yeah,
Or
sure.
So if that's the case, are you suggesting the vote at this point be deferred until Recreation Committee? Or are you talking about developing the individual rental policies at the Recreation Committee level? Okay, so that would be subsequent to this decision. Okay. Any staff comment on this initiative? Jason, you've been involved a little bit in one of these in particular, I think.
Yeah, thanks, Reeve-Wise. This, so just for some additional context in maybe more layman's terms from Rob's very eloquent motion, we've started to see rental agreements with our hall facilities that are extending for years at a time to lock up essentially certain days of the week for the entirety of the year. So it's something that is more of it's less of an ad hoc basis and more of a permanent thing. Whereas, as an example, your Jack and Jill party in a hall is much different than a seniors group booking every single Thursday for the calendar year and prepaying for that. And really, I think as I've discussed this with Councillor Fenwick, we're a little bit inept with our current system. There's not, to Councillor Woodcock's comment, there's not a public calendar. If you don't call the municipality or come and visit with administration staff, you don't know that every Thursday, I'm making this up, but every Thursday the Centerville Hall is booked for euchre. So you couldn't schedule your child's birthday party in that location. So integrating with this is our website. We're working with another company for facilities bookings that we want to integrate to our website that'll allow for direct payment online. I see this as a document that pops up in the actual embedded website. This is not the historic come and read. There's going to be an ability to sign and execute, and then that's saved as a PDF, electronically saved into our data set. So I see it all streamlining in 2024 as being a really good opportunity to upgrade our facilities. We had this discussion internal to our staff, and I tasked our staff with a question. If you rent this hall, are you allowed to plug your computer in and show a slideshow on these screens? Are you allowed to use these mics? We paid several $1,000s for this facility to our operations. And when you rent the hall, I don't know. And there's not a real good template today that provides that clarity for a renter. And those examples can be seen across the corporation. So I think that's the direction that ultimately Councillor Fenwick is seeking. I really do think it's a great initiative. That being said, it's going to take time. Every hall is unique. Every hall offers different features. The website proposal is scheduled to take 6 months. That's why we're here for pre-budget approval. This is not something that I see being done in spare time, if you will, by staff given workloads. That being said, I think it's something we want, and I mentioned this to Councillor Fenwick, we want council as a whole to be aware of this directive and this sort of forward thinking, if you will, and give us that direction to make and try and find time to make it happen. Thanks.
Thanks, Jason. Any further comment on this? Yes.
Can I just get clarification whether we are including that a draft policy be presented to the Recreation Committee? Or
I'm
that it come-
perfectly okay with it. We're going to be meeting anyways. It's not a bad idea.
Okay, thank you. And Doug?
Yeah, I'm supportive of the concept, but I'm with Jason. I'm a little bit concerned about how much staff time it would take. I just, as we all know, we're loaded pretty heavy right now, so that it may not happen overnight.
Thanks, Doug. Anything further? Yes, Wendy?
Just in regards to your proposal and when you talk to staff, a presentation came to us, I believe it was Yucker Newberg, where they were trying to get down and swim and they were looking for a little more safety access to the water, that maybe we could include that in the proposal.
Mhm.
Okay, anything further? All in favor? That's carried. Thank
Oh,
you.
yeah.
Any further statements from members at this time? Seeing none, that's the end of our open session at this point. We've got a closed meeting scheduled. Yeah, I'm just going to read what the closed meeting is about so that the public knows we're not trying to sneak away for some nefarious reason. So I need a motion to go into closed session from Doug and Sherry, and this is so that Council of Stone Mills go into closed session to approve the December 11th closed session minutes, to discuss labor relations or employee negotiations. There's also an item on litigation or potential litigation and information supplied in confidence about by another level of government. So all in favor of that? Thank you, that's carried. And we're going to go offline. Does anyone